till we're done. Alright guys, bring out your book. Bring out your book, hurry up. Hey, you haven't gotten the book yet, ah? Luckily I got it.
I just let it and I did straight in your life.
Say that, I'll give you remind me before you go. It's in there already. Well guys, anyways. Now it's a very simple chapter today. We're going to learn about some basic stuff and some new stuff, guys. Let me go through it real quick. Give you a quick summary of what we're going to be learning today. First and foremost, we're going to learn once again about the magnetic poles here. You know that the reason why there is an attraction or repulsion force simply because of the interaction between the magnetic field, which is invincible, right? We'll go more detail about that later on. We're going to learn about the main difference between ferrous and non-ferrous. It's just a fancy term to say magnetic and non-magnetic materials. Like, you know, not all metals is magnetic by nature, right? Like, for example, this copper wire here, if you place a magnet, literally right now, if you place a magnet here, it won't attach to it. Because copper, unlike what other people think, right? A lot of people keep thinking that metals are automatically magnetic, but not all metals are magnetic, guys. Some metals are known as non-ferrous metals, which are non-magnetic by nature, means to say cannot be attracted by magnet. But we'll go more detail about that later on. We'll also learn about induced magnetism, guys. Induced magnetism, whenever you see this word, you're going to see this word a lot, guys. Induced. What does induce mean? Anyone know? Wow. No.
Like to give something else the properties of something.
Okay, that's a more logical explanation. To induce is to create, guys. Okay, so to induce magnetism, we're basically creating magnetism. For example, if I have a permanent magnet here, usually if I attach it to some magnet, right? To some metal, this metal bar here will usually have induced some form of magnetism. Meaning to say, if I use very small pieces of other metals that are magnetic, you'll notice that this part, this magnet is too strong, but this part here is induced with some form of magnetism also, guys. This part here is induced with magnetism because of the flow of the magnetic field. But we'll go more detail about that later on. Okay, then this part is important. This part here, we're basically going to learn about permanent and temporary magnets. Permanent magnets are usually made of steel, whereas temporary magnets are made of iron. I'll go more detail about that later on. Then, after that, we're also going to learn about this. This is extremely important. This part here always comes out in paper 2, right? This part here always comes out in paper 4. Okay, this here is what we call an electromagnet. If you notice the door, right? I mean, before the damn switch spoil, right? Last time, before you guys can come in, we need to press the button, right? The reason why the door is locked is because one part is a magnet and one part is an iron. That's why usually when current is flowing, it will attach together. When we press the button, we actually kill the current in the iron bar, and thus it doesn't become a magnet anymore, and we can open the door again. But that shit always spoil. That's why we just decided to leave it. And work harder. I mean, theoretically, yes, if you pull hard enough, this door is supposed to yank open. But because it's an electromagnet, it's a very strong magnet because we're flowing a lot of current into it. So it's like damn sharp tight already due to the magnetism. Okay, but we'll go more detail about that later on. Okay, then we're also going to learn some simple characteristics of magnetic fields. The more important one is these two diagrams here. You can see that the stronger magnets always have a denser magnetic field line, whereas weak magnets have less magnetic field lines. Common sense. And this here, I think most of you guys have played with this before, the iron filing experiment in school. Have you guys? No? Yes? No? If anyone don't know what I'm talking about for this one. Iron filing is literally another fancy way to say the iron powder. right? So what they do is this iron filling and compass is going to help us determine the pattern and also the direction of the magnetic field, which is a simple experiment you need to do. And finally, before we end the day, we're going to learn about how an induced current will generate its own magnetic field line. Okay, so meaning to say, if I flow current here, right? If I flow current here, usually these things will generate its own magnetic field line also, which can be used to induce more magnetism later on. But we'll go more detail about this later on. Okay, so having said all that, looking back at this first page here, this first page is literally common sense at this point. Magnetic field comes with north and south. The only thing that you need to know is that this part here, the magnetic field always travels from north towards south. I'm gonna ask you this a lot because for some reason it's tested a lot in your paper too. I don't know why. And some for even more godforsaken reason, sometimes the student they will draw the arrow in this direction. Then wins them one free beating.
He knows he didn't plan on to make a mistake.
Okay. If I ever see any one of you guys draw a magnetic field line like this, I will beat you. You better not let me see. I will beat you for sure. Okay, the reason why the north and south they can attract is because of the interaction of the magnetic field in a way that they are both connected, so they pull together, right? Whereas the reason why north and north will always repel each other, right? There will be an invisible force. You kind of press them together and you can feel that they are being repulsed away. Is because of the magnetic field, the inability of the magnetic field to connect. That's why it kind of like spreads open, and then that's why there's like an invincible force that pushes them into two different directions. Okay, so if you look at the first few statements here, they are literally quite logical. As magnets have magnetic field, they are north and south, they could repel or attract. The interaction between the magnetic field produces these magnetic forces, either attraction force or a repulsion force due to the interaction of the magnetic field. And the direction of the magnetic field at a point is always from north to south. Right. So there's literally nothing to explain. Everyone understands this, right? Anyone's got any questions? Good, excellent. Right, this part is the relatively more interesting and new part. Like I mentioned just now, ferrous and non-ferrous are basically just fancy ways to say magnetic and non-magnetic. You must know a few key metals that are magnetic, right? For example, iron, nickel, cobalt, and also steel, guys. Right down here at the fourth column here, steel is also known as a magnetic material, and everything else is non-magnetic. For example, if you place this magnet on these aluminium foils, you'll notice that they are not going to be attracted because these metals are known as the non-ferrous metals, which are non-magnetic by nature. Right. Okay. And steel, all right. Make sure you wrote the word steel there also on the ferrous part. It's a bit humble. Looks like it's folded a little bit on the middle. I would say folded already. This next part here is what we call induced magnetism, guys. If let's say, for example, right, today I have like a magnet here, okay? This is a permanent magnet, which is north and south here, okay? Then this is a magnet, and then I have like an iron bar here, okay? I have an iron bar here. you know what's going to happen? Because the magnetic field from the permanent magnet is going to travel along this iron bar here, right? And eventually it will come back to the south part, right? Because it always goes from north to south. As soon as the magnetic field lines are traveling inside this iron bar here, this iron bar will be induced with magnetism, meaning to say, if I place very small paper clips here, 666, the devil's number. The devil's number. Anyways, if I place paper clips here, right? They are paper clips. Right, you'll notice that these paper clips will be attracted towards this iron bar here, right? It's because this iron bar is induced with magnetism. In your exam, if they ever ask about this induced magnetism, usually they'll ask you what temporary pole will be produced here and what temporary pole will be produced here. If you think about it logically, right, what pole do you think will be produced here? North or south? South. And this will be north, right? Meaning to say, which makes sense, because if you dare say that this is north, right, then this thing is bloody hell repelling each other, right? I've never seen a magnet repel another iron bar before, so if you dare say that. Okay, anyways, from here, you need to know this, guys, the immediate opposite of the iron bar, right, is going to be the opposite pole, whereas the other side is going to be the sub-north. What would happen if today I slide this magnet all the way to this side here instead? What's going to happen to the polarity? It'll swap, right? Right now, at this instance, when I swap it, right, here will be south and here will be north. You get what I mean? But it will still retain this magnetism, just that the polarity is changed. And I can test this by placing another magnet here, right? If it's north here, I place north here, and I see whether it repels or not. It's definitely going to repel because the north and north are going to repel, right? And if I place let's say for example, I'll test for this north here, then I'll put this off, and as soon as they repel, I know that it's going to be the north pole. Okay, everybody. Anyone don't understand this part? Yeah, you could. But you don't have an iron bar. You can play it at home with your refrigerator magnets. Usually these kind of experiments will be more fun if you have like a very strong magnet and a very weak magnet. Because if let's say I place two magnets onto this side here, right, it won't work because it's like cancelling each other. So you don't feel the difference. You need a strong magnet and a weak magnet to test it out. But anyways, if you look here, guys, this is literally what I said. This is the magnet, this is the magnet. I slide it to this side, here is south and here is north. Slide it to this side, here will be south and here will be north. Okay, very straightforward concept. Yeah, everyone. Okay, so induced magnetism occurs when a magnet attracts a material by temporarily making it a magnet. As soon as I pull the magnet away, then they'll no longer retain its magnetism. Okay. At a late night. Right. Yeah. Okay, then the next part here is a very important part. Always comes up in your paper too, guys. So you better know the difference here. Why are some materials made for permanent magnets and why are some materials made for temporary magnets? Don't copy first. Listen up first. Listen up first. If you look at this here, this iron, right, is what we call a temporary magnet, guys. Why? Because iron is considered a soft metal. As soon as I flow current onto this iron bar here, I will easily magnetize it. But as soon as I take this current away, right, it will easily demagnetize as well. If you look at the working principles of this door, it's the same thing also. When there's electricity, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like the magnet door. This part here. Right, like this thing, which was supposed to lock our damn door now, right? What happens is, right, usually we'll flow some form of current onto this part here, right? As soon as we flow current onto this iron bar here, this part of the iron bar becomes a magnet. And because it becomes a magnet, it attracts to the other metal plate here, right? It attracts the metal plate, which holds the door in place. But as soon as I press that button, right, what happens is it actually kills the current flowing into this iron bar. And because we kill the current onto the iron bar, immediately it loses its magnetism. And because of that, it will open the door. Then it's just like iron onto iron, which opens the door already. You get what I mean? Anyone don't know what I'm talking about? 100%. So why is it it must be made of iron? This thing must be made of iron because iron is the only one that is considered a soft metal. Easy to magnetize. As soon as I flow current into it, it's straight away magnetized. Easy to demagnetize. As soon as I cut the current, it straight away becomes the iron, it demagnetizes. Okay, this is a concept. Whereas steel, like all these magnets, right? I know for a fact that it must be made of steel because only steel can retain its magnetism because it's considered a hard metal. Hard metal means to say it's very hard to magnetize. It will take a large amount of current before you can magnetize this steel, right? But once I magnetize it already, it's very hard to demagnetize. Meaning to say, as long as you don't smash it or heat it up, it will retain its magnetism and it will remain as a magnet for time to come, right? Which is why your magnets on your fridge will all stick all this while, right? Even if you stick it for the next 20 years, if you don't do anything funny to it, it will still retain its magnetism. Okay, because steel is considered a hard metal. Okay, everyone. Okay, please copy this now.
The second box am I supposed to draw this?
Yeah, draw to your best capabilities. Just draw a battery and a nail and say that this becomes a magnet.
It's not be any of that. Yeah. No, she doesn't have to do that. I think that's all. Maybe the last one there. This was. I think. A lot of people. The last people that get it. One time we brought down. Oh, reach there. Yeah. We hope it's very long. Not wait,
Sure. But I think right now it's quite convenient. You can go to the post office and do it already. Last time I used to go to the immigration to do it, but now I think, but don't take my word for it, you can go to the post office to replace it. I don't know, 50? I'm not sure though. You gotta Google that. I only lost, actually never lost my IC before. Did you lose your IC?
Yes, if you look at that street of it, and probably the degree is not open.
Who lost his IC?
But City Road right, so by the name of Bill Brian, oh, that's like.
How the hell do you lose your IC?
Okay.
Huh? Are you serious? Oh my god. Shit. Hurt. Double hurt.
And okay, have you either A beat the shit out of someone or B did beat the shit out by someone?
No, I've never. I would like to strongly recommend not getting into a fight because everyone that I know that got into a fight did not end well. Even if you were to win, right? Or in a very unlikely scenario you lose, you don't actually benefit like that. Just think about it this way, right? People who usually fight, right? They got nothing to lose. Like I don't think most of you guys here got nothing to lose, right? At least the family background is quite well off or at least decent, right? Think about it this way, if you get into a fight, right? Which my friend did, he got punched in the eye, and his eye was forever got eye already, you know. Literally, he got punched in the eye, and I think like some nerve damage or something, right? His eye was forever one-sided already. I'm like, whoa, shit. Try to avoid any kind of these fight or confrontations unless absolutely necessary. Okay, anyways, moving on to the next part here. Right. This is quite a popular thing. This you must know, you must understand this concept because this part here carries on to the next few chapters later on, especially AC and DC. Especially AC and DC. So please, if you don't understand, you better make sure you know. You know, like how I said just now that when you have a current passing through an iron bar, it will become magnetized, right? And then, you know, like before this, we talked about how when there is current passing through a conductor, it will have its own magnetism, right? Right now, we're combining these two information together. First and foremost, if you look at this diagram here, this battery is actually providing some form of current is providing some kind of current in this conductor here. Okay, this current is going to flow all the way until it comes back here, right? When there is current flowing in the conductor, it will induce its own magnetism. Okay, so the magnetism will be something like this. It will be flowing through the whole thing. And because it flows through this whole thing here, right now this magnetic field is touching this iron bar, right? And not only is it this part only the magnetic field touching the iron bar, the whole part, magnetic field, and so on and so on. That is why electromagnets can have very, very strong magnetism. It's because a lot of magnetic field is touching this iron bar. So this iron bar is actually what we call induced with magnetism, right? And thus it becomes a very strong magnet, which is essentially why that thing holds the door damn tight, right? Before it spoils, of course, right? So it has its own polarities here. Guys, the concept here is very simple. The basic concept is there is current flowing here. And when there's current flowing here, there's magnetic field lines flowing here. This magnetic field line is flowing through all the wires, which is inducing magnetism onto the iron bar. The same concept like what happened here also. This basically, like I said, is the magnetic field line flowing in this iron bar only, right? But this one is just one line. This one, there's multiple lines. So, quick question now. If I want to make this an even stronger magnet, what should I do? More. Who said more coils? You said that. Good. Using more coils is the right answer. Why? Because if today I have more coils wrapped around here, right, that means to say there's essentially more magnetic field lines touching this iron bar, right, which then makes it into a stronger magnet. Okay, so concept 101. So we look at this statement here. Oh, there's nothing to draw, is it? Good. A current is passed through the coil. The current passed through the coil. Magnetic field produced by the current magnetizes the soft iron core. And the soft iron core loses magnetism when the current is switched off. As soon as you press the button, kill the current, then you'll straight away lose its magnetism, which is essential. Imagine today, right, if that thing was made of steel instead, right? Every time I press the button, it will slowly lose its magnetism. So I ask people to wait first. The thing slowly losing its magnetism, only I can open the door, which is a dumb design by itself. It's very important that it must lose its magnetism immediately and must be magnetized immediately, which is only done possible through an iron bar. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
So electricity, current, charges, whatever, do they all travel fast? Sorry. Do they all travel like better in a straight line or like in certain like circular motion? Like or they travel better in a straight line?
It will be the same thing, but obviously, like technically, it will be faster in a straight line because you know how current flows, right? Imagine if this is wire, right? The current is flowing here, due to the opposite flow of electrons. Okay, and if you think about it, a straight line is like literally electrons or cars traveling in a straight line. But if you coil it up, right, the electrons have to, move in a circular path. But they will never test you on that. But it's a very interesting question to think about. But yes, it's not answer this. But that's a good question. Okay. Okay.
Pineapple.
Apple pen.
Okay.
Okay, so if you look at this next part here, right, this is essentially everything that you know about magnetic fields also, guys. The more densely packed the fields, the stronger the magnetic point, right? Magnetic fields never intersect, meaning to say if in your exam, you somehow draw and intersect here, here, or here, right? Straight away you lose your mark, okay? They can never intersect, right? Obviously points from north to south and they have no ends. They actually continue. They continue in the interior of the magnetic field. Okay, quickly draw this.
What? Sorry. What's the worst bathroom related incident that's happened in the kitchen background? Like a student do not fly and it's not shit that you can.
Basically, normal thing, right? Assholes always doing shit, man.
Alright. Yeah. Like. But I think wrong. Yeah. I was small there. He didn't finish that thing.
It's broken. 14 years old. Yeah, then they put fine. By then. You know, like, but we deserve. Yeah, right. We used to go to the cyber cafe and walk. Then, hope of business was not certificated, right? So we used to go to the cyber cafe to walk with my friends. And when we go, right, they will always lie to my parents and say that, oh, I'm going to go sleep over at my friend's place. And we'll all just go to this cyber cafe near my friend's house where we'll walk back home. Right. One day, it was like some performance and one night in school. I skipped it, went to the cyber cafe, waited for my friends to finish the event, and then they came joining us all, and we played until like 4 o'clock in the morning. Then we went to the mama opposite, which was Skyview, right? We went to eat there, and I'm thinking, save a buck or two, I won't order too expensive of a meal, order the cheaper meal. And as we were walking home, one friend stopped by with us. Hey, Natanya, macam mana pergi somewhere lah. And I just pointed them to the direction, and then they came down and like, oh shit. Buying no back, done. Handphone. Then I'm like, shit. Okay, we let go, okay? Then we slowly gave them a phone, a wallet, and I say, hey, boleh bagi balik IC. Then they're like, okay, true. That's why I lose my IC. Then yeah, after that one. Literally, the home to the cyber cafe is like literally one street away. Walking back, the guy stopped beside us. 4 Indian guys were all this.
But you're gonna punish somebody who's not we had to get people to listen. I think it's out there. Stop the shot into the sea. We stole this pandemic.
Oh, and that day I who scammed one of my friends. I sold him one of my gaming accounts for $100.
Like cash.
That's actually I lost all of it. I'm thinking, go to the market, order something cheaper. Shall I just order something nice to eat in the mama? Then at least the robbers wouldn't have so much money. $100 back then was a lot of money, man. Like it was literally 16 years ago.
$100 is still a lot of money.
And then like I was 14 years old, I had like $100 in my wallet. I'm thinking like, wow, feeling poor already. Fucker, wrong shit, fucking Indians. Okay, that's drawing. Yeah. Finally, the last 2 parts here. This is a simple example of what we're supposed to do to test the pattern and direction of the magnetic field. You know, like all this while I keep telling you the magnetic field is always from north to south, right? Obviously, you can't pluck that from the sky or your ass, right? You have to have an experiment to repeatably and reliably do the experiment now. So what you do is, right, usually the most common example is you place a piece of paper here, right? And you place a magnet on top of this piece of paper with its known polarities now, right? Then the first thing you do is you sprinkle the iron filing onto the paper. As you sprinkle the iron filing, right, you'll notice that most of the iron filing will go into the proper position, but some of it will be displaced upwards, right? So what you do is, you gently tap onto the paper, right? As you gently tap onto the paper, some of the displaced ion filing will slowly be attracted towards the magnetic field, okay? With the ion filing itself, you can determine the pattern of the magnetic field. Hey, everyone okay, you don't look at your paper. Right, with the ion filing, you can determine the pattern of the magnetic field. Then after that, in order to determine the direction of the magnetic field, what you do is you place all the compasses around here, right? If you place these compasses around here, what's going to happen is, right, you'll notice that the compass will all point into the direction of the magnetic field here. Why? Is because the weaker magnet, which is the compass, will always be influenced by the stronger magnet, which is the permanent magnet here. Okay, having said that, let me show you a very simple YouTube video.
It's a very large metaphor here that you give.
What are you trying to say?
What?
Oh, I love to. I was watching this morning. This EDG, right, is damn good, man. EDG is the new China team. Yeah. Yeah, and they are already on the dominating scene already. Upset? I don't know if it's an upset, but everyone says that this Kang guy, which is their top fragger, is damn good, man. They call him the beast from the east side. Anyways, watch this here. Okay, so you see, if you sprinkle it, most of the ion filing will fall into the position of the magnetic field. Right. But some of it will be like strangling upwards, right? So when you tap onto the paper, you see that it will automatically be attracted towards the magnetic field. Right. This is obviously north and north, that's why it's like opening in the middle. But if it's north and south, look what happens to the ion filing. Okay, you see, it will show that the magnetic field lines are connected here because it's north and south, right? And then obviously you tap the paper, then all the strangling magnetic ion filing will go attracted towards the magnetic field here. Okay. But this here is just the ion filing one, and then this is the compass one.
Oh, please, no.
What?
Wrong.
It's just the compass. It's like a normal compass that points to the north,
Yeah,
It's a very small compass.
that's
Yay.
Anyway,
Oh man, I think I'm sure it's conflict. Okay. Like 50, 30 years ago, it'd be like fucking asking stuff about them, and it's like, stupid God. I realized something, simply put it grades together, like, stuff, all in big together. It's like, that's it. There's something.
what's the question? You're telling me all the answers. What's the fucking question?
So I'm saying like, okay, maybe later now, we access the matter, and we find like the magnetic field or something like that, so but is that we
If I remember correctly, I think there is a formula to calculate the magnetic field strength of a magnet. Yeah, you will be asked to do that.
no,
But my recommendation is, please don't take A levels. Please, I beg everyone here. It's unnecessarily hard. And for those who think that, oh, I need A levels because I'll have 2 more extra years to decide what I want to do with my life. Let me tell you, I've already told that lie to myself already, which I still didn't choose the right thing to do. Okay, so don't do A levels, seriously. Unless you only do A levels, right? If you say that I want to enter the top university in UK. If that is your goal, then that's the only reason why you should go for A levels. If that is not your goal, please don't do it. It's unnecessarily hard. Anyone here wants to do UK top schools? Anyone? Let me tell you where to go, okay? If you don't know where to go to Australia. You'll have a really, really, really good time there, man.
right? Unless you think
Australia, right? So when you go to Australia, I'll bump at your place and then I'll stay for free at your place as well.
Alright.
The food there is good, the people there are nice, and the tram station there is really good.
It's what's the best part?
No, that's not the best part. But
It's
everywhere is racist one. So in order to combat racism, you gotta be racist.
not like on the scale from German to white people.
No, there'll be racism everywhere.
There's like a scale.
Australia is mild already because it's a very Asian dominated there. Like the whole Australia economy is running on Asian. Asian.
It just
Yeah, but there's a tariff war going on with China and Australia right now. Yeah, there's a tariff war going on. So like Australia and China, they're not in good terms now, right? So what the Indonesian guys, not Indonesia, it's India guys, they do, right? What they do is right. Because I can't remember which part is not selling out. I can't remember, but let's say China is supposed to be exporting oil to Australia, right? Because there's a tariff war, so they stop importing, right? So what India do, right? Right now they will buy from this and then sell it back to them here, and then take the middleman profit, you know. So that's why they're doing well right now. Okay, but that's nothing to do with what you're going to study. Okay, but anyways, my recommendation is Australia, guys. If you want to consider your tertiary, consider Australia.
what are the benefits I guess
Number one, it's not that far away, so you don't have to actually take 20 hours flight to go to the country to study and then come back during the festive season. Number two is the people there are quite nice, right? And then it's very Asian dominated already, whole of Australia. Like obviously there's still a lot of Kwailos because it's a Kwailo country, right? But in my personal opinion, like if I ever get the chance to do it again, I would have definitely studied in Australia. But obviously when I was younger, I was poorer, right? So I didn't get a chance to. But if I get a chance, 100% I'll go to Australia. And to be more specific, I'll go to Melbourne. Wow, best place. And then once in a while, you can go skiing in the snow mountain. Then fun to go. Consider it, okay, everyone? Huh? Yeah, the tram is really nice. Last time when my friends used to study there, I visited once. The tram was not so well connected. I think right before MCO, I went to Melbourne again, right? Wow. Everywhere is connected already, the tram. Like, yeah. You know why? Because back then when we were there, right, it always used to hop free trams, you know. And then when the officers are about to come, we will hop at the back and quickly out because we didn't pay for the fare. But now they do it free for intercity already. But inside the city itself, it's free tram zones. But if you take it outright, which we still do to go to the casino, right? We'll as soon as we see got officer coming in quickly hop off. Huh? Hot. Oh. What you mean yeah, I think that they sell the luxury goods there, is it? Burberry and everything. I think I went there also, but I can't remember the place. Yeah, it's very nice. The whole place is nice. I think Melbourne, okay, boys and girls. And then get ready for me to bump at your place. Okay, anyways, if you look at these statements here, place the biomagnets on the laminar paper, right? Sprinkle iron filing at the bottom of the paper so that it sets the iron filing in place. This helps determine the pattern of the magnetic field. The iron filing is only going to give you the pattern of the magnetic field. Then, in order to find the direction, you need the compasses, because the stronger magnet will always influence the weaker magnet. In this case here, this is obviously the stronger magnet, and obviously this is the weaker magnet. Okay, this will be asked in the exam, so you must know this. Okay, and finally, before we go into the exercises for the day, we're going to talk about this here, which is you know, like I mentioned, right, when there's current flowing through a conductor, it will generate its own magnetic field, right? You can actually determine the direction of the magnetic field using your right hand grip rule, guys. This thumb is supposed to indicate the direction of the current, and these four fingers are supposed to indicate the direction of your magnetic field. So let's say, for example, in a 3D version on top here, if the current is going upwards, right, using your hand like you grip a pencil, right, you'll notice that your four fingers, if you look up, is in the anti-clockwise direction, right? Which indicates that your magnetic field generated will be in the anti-clockwise direction as well. Okay, before we continue, anyone cannot see the anti-clockwise direction, like your grip, and you look at your four fingers, oh look, it's rotating in an anti-clockwise direction. Do you see it or not? Area must know this. This is also a carry forward. What? No, this is literally called the right hand grip rule. It's a rule from physics. Okay, but in your exam, usually they don't ask you, they don't put 3D versions here, right? So instead, they'll only put 2D versions, which is something here. Okay, in the 2D versions, you need to know what the X represent, and you need to know what the dot represents here. Okay, X indicates that the current is going into the paper. One easy way to remember this is like literally X marks the spot, and then you dig in for the treasure, right? So this is that way to remember it. The current is going into the paper.
I just remember the
Dumb shit, X marks the paper. Anyways, X means the current is going in. And because the current is going in, your thumb should be pointing where?
like upwards.
Outwards. Like this.
No, upwards.
Outwards? Bloody hell, the current is going into the damn paper. Yeah, like pointing in upwards. Right, we point in. You see your four fingers here? Now rotating in the clockwise direction, right? The magnetic field will be in the clockwise direction. Okay? If you see that it's a dot, it means to say the current will be. X means low in, right? Dot means it's coming flat. And if it's coming out, you see your four fingers, oh my god, it's moving in an anti-clockwise direction, and you draw the anti-clockwise direction. One thing that I want to highlight is that you must at least draw 3 magnetic field lines. At least. Okay, I literally just said it. Like X and dot, bro. Oh, okay, they'll indicate one. They'll indicate. If they don't indicate, they'll at least draw the X and dot, which you are supposed to know is X into the paper or dot out of the paper. Dot is out of the paper, into the paper. Okay, please draw the diagram. I think it's very important. Like this carry forward to the next few chapters.
How do you feel with different topics today? Got about big, as with citizens. I know I'm agree with Cup Daddy, but no money for Mercedes for me. I guess you don't want us to see percent.
What's a compass pointer?
Compass.
Oh, it points to the south of the Earth's magnetic field. So the Earth points to the south.
Is that red?
The red. No, it's like the red is the north, right? But it's actually attracted towards the south of the Earth.
Oh,
But we call it the north direction.
and yet it's not trying to be. He also gives.
South. Well, yeah, oh, they're like attracted towards the south, the magnetic south of the Earth. But we don't call it the magnetic north, we call it the north direction. Closest south. I mean, if let's say you place to a strong magnet, then it will be affected by a strong magnet because the stronger magnet is greater than the magnetic field of the Earth at that point it's open. So yeah, for sure. The field is like not full right? It's house. Yeah, that's it. Good question. So yeah, is it true that back in the day, it's got like water before you put it in a bowl of rice? Yeah. Yeah, I did it. No, I did it for my phone. I did it for my iPad. It's so you know the fire experiment we did last year? I was the fire experiment we did last year, right? I was it was not I was supposed to go already, so I put like my iPad here and I was holding the bucket of water here. Then for some reason I swing my hand and then the momentum of the bucket pulled my arm open and then I'm like it went in my shit. Wow. Yeah.
It was lucky you answered it like a deep beautiful question. Oh. I remember
Didn't find everything.
so how do I like white rice? So this is normal.
Yeah, because rice is a natural absorber of water. It will absorb all the moisture. Yeah, what? I think it's shit. It fell in.
So, what plan so with and in fact
Mother, like, yes, yes. So, my grandpa. Oh, it's quite finally. I think they have this huge puddle. They fill it up, and then that's the water to be flat. Take a shower. Oh, okay, so like that's a tank here. I don't know. So it's like what's it? Pressing spring. So you guys all looking up drawing. You guys start leaving the class already. That'll be your book for the day. All the way until you see 4.2, which is in page 9. You're holding you're holding the page 9, I'll make sure you your homework is all the way until page 9. Yeah, proceed. Yeah, wow, I love
If I don't know, and also clear. Ready? This and. What's it?
Okay, everyone. What? Swap tables here. When it's there. So you recess all in better. Yeah. They have to work with the case, then the power. But absolutely. Pick up a bit. This and yeah. Oh yeah, very clean. Happy feeling thing complete. But you change it. What the heck is
Okay, wait, you pick one. No. Or did you get the wrong thing? You create the prices and then write it. When you decide.
I'll pick up